Okay, so it's 2016, and we're going to be looking at the Scream Factory Blu-ray re-release of the great Manhunter, Michael Mann's Manhunter. Before all the serial killer films of the late 80s and the 90s, before the Sevens and the Silence of the Lambs, there was the original Hannibal Lecter, the original Will Graham, Michael Mann's Manhunter. I've seen a lot of reviews of this Blu-ray on YouTube, and all the reviewers are like they're like gesticulating, motioning with the Blu-ray. You know, they're like, you know, it's like ridiculous. You know, first of all, I hate the new cover art. It looks, I mean, the colors are nice, the colors are pretty, but my God, the original poster was iconic. I really have just the impulse to rip up this slipcase. I hate it. You know, it's like burning your bra. Just ripping this, just fight the man, you know, destroy the slipcase. But I won't do that because... Anyway, Manhunter. Now, a lot of these reviews for Manhunter also on YouTube and on other websites, they seem to be written by young whippersnappers who haven't gone through Laserdisc and haven't gone through DVD, who haven't like owned 10 copies of Manhunter already. So you're looking at these reviews and it's like, is this worth buying again? You know, I already have so many copies of Manhunter. You know, it's like, just buy it. It's the Blu-ray. It's the best. What is it? Is it the best copy? Does it have all the best stuff on it? Does it have everything from the previous versions on it that you enjoy? This is what we're going to answer in this review. We're gonna give you a little brief thumbnail history of Manhunter on home video, and then you know, gonna try to answer the question: is this Blu-ray worth buying? I guess to give you a spoiler, I give it a kind of uneven, it's worth buying. If this is your first copy of Manhunter, if you have no idea what I've been talking about, if you just want to experience the movie, go ahead and buy it, okay? Go ahead and get it. It's a great movie, a very stylish film in the mode of the 80s, very stylized, neon, Miami Vice, that type of filmmaking with a great pop soundtrack, with the first appearance of this Hannibal Lector serial killer character, a great performance by the underrated William Peterson, and of course it's Michael Mann. Michael Mann of Heat, of Thief, of the Jericho Mile, you know, of the Jericho Mile, yes, of Last of the Mohicans, of all of these movies. So, Manhunter, my God, the first Manhunter, I rented it on Laserdisc. So I rented it on Laserdisc when I was in college in Florida. And then in 2000, I bought the regular edition DVD because it was coming out in Anchor Bay, regular edition and special edition. Bought the regular edition, and then I loved it so much. I remember, man, I love this. So I went back and I bought the 2-disc special edition. Okay. Which was the regular edition, and then it had a second disc, which we're going to talk about, which had a director's cut. So that's 3. Then in 2003, I bought the Divimax version. And now I've got this one. So I've seen about, you know, 5 versions that I can just think off in my head, you know, of Manhunter. A lot of different versions of Manhunter. A lot of different versions of Manhunter. So when Manhunter was first released theatrically, it had a certain, it was at a certain running time, it had certain scenes, and Michael Mann has just tendency to make, you know, changes to his movies very frequently. In fact, I don't even think there is a film of his on home video that he hasn't tweaked with. Apart from Jericho Mile, which is first like TV movie thing that he made, and The Keep, which really hasn't been released on, it was released on VHS and laser, but it hasn't been released on DVD or Blu-ray, and a few others. Pretty much everything is kind of like in flux. You know, he's added scenes, taken scenes away, and in this film, Manhunter, a lot of different versions here. I think if you go to there's a great Manhunter website called Manhunter 1986, where they go over, they can count like about 5 different versions of Manhunter. A lot of different versions of Manhunter. The versions I can count are number 1, the original theatrical release, which I think was replicated on the VHS and the laser. You know, I think even in the theatrical release, he was cutting some things. He was like Stanley Kubrick. He was in the screening room. He was cutting some things out. So that's number 1, theatrical release. Then the 2 were the extended TV cuts. There was a Showtime, there was a version that was shown on Showtime that had, like, I think, more footage, more stuff. There's always the scenes with Will Graham at the beginning, with the police detective who is talking about, you know, Hannibal Lecter, you know, what happened, you know, I heard he cut you up real bad. There's always parts of that scene that are cut up. There's a scene where a guy from Miami Vice shows Will Graham the inside of the Leeds house. He's a realtor. He takes him into a tour. It has a really great tracking shot. Because in the theatrical cut, it just shows up Will Graham's just like outside the Leeds house. And then remember, he climbs up into the tree and sees the red dragon symbol. In an extended version, there's an additional scene of him actually going into the house and looking. It's not really important. I could see why it could be cut. Then there's also a scene in the hospital, toward the end of the film, where Dennis Farina and William Peterson, Will Graham, are talking about how, you know, as a child, Will Graham can understand this killer, that, you know, he came from a broken home, he came from an abused home. In some ways, it's not his fault that he's this emotionally, psychologically messed up and turned into a killer. As a child, he wants to comfort him. As an adult, he wants to blow his head off. You know, so there are all these little parts of scenes. Those are the main, you know, 3 scenes that kind of get cut or changed. Again, Manhunter 1986 has this. There are other websites. I wish I had the patience to go through all of this, and maybe someday I might, to do a video of all the different cuts of Manhunter, because there's lots and lots and lots of different versions. Okay, so let's stick with our countdown. Number 1 is the theatrical version. Number 2 was the Showtime TV edits. I think there were other broadcasts of this where they retitled the movie. And that was pretty much the 2 versions that were, you know, going on. So the Anchor Bay DVD had, let's look at the special edition, because the regular edition just has disc 1. The special edition is just disc 1 and disc 2. Disc 1 is the theatrical cut of the film, the supposed theatrical cut. It was remastered, but it was actually missing parts. It was missing a part of the conversation at the beginning when I was talking about with the police chief and Will Graham, where Will Graham's like, the police chief's like, I heard he cut you up real bad. It was missing part of that was in the original theatrical version.
The commissioner was saying that you're the one who got Garrett Jacob Hobbs, and then Dr. Lector 3 years ago.
Lecter killed 9 people, didn't he?
9 that we know of. 2 didn't die.
What happened to them?
One's on a respirator at a hospital in Baltimore. The other's in a private mental hospital in Denver.
What did the psychologist say was wrong with Lecter?
Psychologists call him a psychopath. They don't know what else to call him.
I understand he cut you pretty good.
The commissioner was saying that you're the one who got Garrett Jacob Hobbs, and then Dr. Lector 3 years ago.
Lecter killed 9 people, didn't he?
9 that we know of. 2 didn't die.
What happened to them? I understand he cut you pretty good.
Other than that, it was a pretty much complete theatrical version. It was a weird version. It was different than the theatrical version. It looked like pieces had been cut out. Disc 2 was the supposed director's cut. It was close to, I think, the Showtime version. It was very low quality. It was like standard definition video. It looked like a bootleg, but it was on the DVD. Okay. This DVD also had interviews with the actors in the film. It had a really great interview with William Peterson. It had a great interview with Dante Spinotti. It had a nice, but it had no commentary. Okay. Flash forward to 2003, and we have the re-released supposed director's cut. Now Michael Mann has come on, and he's done an official director's cut. So apparently, in making this director's cut, Michael Mann, he took the opening of that Showtime cut, which was on the first Anchor Bay release, and it was low quality. It looked like shit. It looked like garbage. You know, if you look at the theatrical cut, the opening of the film doesn't look as bad as it does now, because what Michael Mann has done is he's taken this standard definition thing and he's bolted it on the front of his film. It looks ugly. It looks horrible. But it's like, it shows like the POV of the killer, which I guess is supposed to be ugly and horrible. But I assure you, in the theatrical version and in the first Anchor Bay DVD, it didn't look that bad. So this cut also has some different stuff in it, but that was the main thing that he had added, and it looks horrible. It looks horrible. And now this director's cut version, this 2003 cut that he did, is basically the official version of Manhunter. Now it seems to be the version that's on all Blu-rays at this point, so forth in all regions. He also added a commentary track, and Michael Mann commentary tracks, you see the intelligence and the research and the searching method, almost the scientific method in which this guy makes movies. Michael Mann is so detail-oriented, where he goes through the reasons of why he made this film. You know, and he made this film back in 1986, 87. He can recall all this and bring it all up, and so the commentary track is a joy. Any Michael Mann commentary track that you can listen to, you're not going to be disappointed, because the man is just an incredible filmmaker. He takes years to research the films that he makes, and you know, all of the choices are very considered, and there's some thought behind everything here. So Michael Mann goes over the research they did into serial killers, interviewing serial killers, interviewing the criminal profilers at the time. Criminal profiling in the mid-'80s was, again, unheard of, unthought of, you know. And Will Graham, you know, this Will Graham character is really a combination of like maybe a dozen people. He's doing like a dozen people's jobs, but he's otherwise this super detective. So that release is good just for the commentary. So now and also Manhunter was re-released on a lot of Blu-rays, and basically with the Michael Mann messed up beginning, you know, cut. So now we have, and I'll gesticulate a little bit with the cover now. Now we have the Manhunter Blu-ray. So this is a 2-disc set. Disc one supposedly has the theatrical version. It was disappointing the hell out of me in that it seems like Scream Factory just kind of shoved onto this disc what MGM gave them, and MGM has Michael Mann's cut. He doesn't have that cut. We don't have at this point. I don't think we don't have on HD a version which has that opening scene in actual HD. It's the standard definition, you know, mishmash hybrid that Michael Mann put together in 2003. So that's disappointing to the max to me, that the video transfer and the theatrical cut is not as good as it could be, basically. Then we have, you know, the disc 2 is the director's cut, not rated, in HD with standard definition inserts. Well, it seems like the standard definition inserts are in the theatrical version as well, from what I could see. It seems like basically Scream Factory has done kind of what they did with Swamp Thing, is that they've conformed the theatrical. They've taken the full, longer HD Michael Mann director's cut, and they've just conformed it to the theatrical cut. They've cut out things and they've made it, but it's still, again, as I said, it doesn't have that HD opening scene. It's difficult to describe what I'm talking about. Is how the only way you can really see it in high quality is by getting the laser, which is not that high quality, or getting that original Anchor Bay DVD, which has that first scene in really, really in good quality. It's just disappointing how bad the scene looks now. It's depressing. But in any case, so disc 2 has a director's cut. It has that commentary track, that beautiful commentary track I was talking with Michael Mann. It has some of the older extras, the conversation with Dante Spinati and everything. Disc 1 has the music of Manhunter, which is this featurette with Michelle Rubini, Mary Andrews of Shriekback, Gary Putnam of the Prime Movers, Rick Schaefer of the Reds, and Gene Stashuk of Red 7. So it kind of talks about how Michael Mann put together this pop soundtrack and how great it was. It also has new interviews with William Peterson, Tom Noonan, Joan Allen. It has a real long interview with Brian Cox. Sorry, I was just thinking I had to read Brian Cox. Brian Cox, the first Hannibal Lector. It's a long interview that I think was on a UK Blu-ray or DVD of Manhunter, where it talks about, you know, how he was cast and how he, you know, his interest and fascination with serial killers. So a great little short. So some of the extras are enticing, you know, and having everything in one package is enticing, but the lack of a really true remastered full HD theatrical cut is a disappointment. So I give it kind of a, if you don't know Manhunter, if you want to enjoy Michael Mann, if you love that, go for it. If you, like me, and you have like 5 of these, you know, sitting in your closet on DVD, maybe you have the iTunes, you know, HD download of Manhunter. If you have all of this stuff, and you kind of, you know, you got the books, you got the Michael Mann, everything, you know, do you really need it? Maybe not. Maybe not. You know, really, because and this cover, it makes me so angry. I hate it. I want to rip it up. You know, the only solace is that the inside of it, you know, the you know, the original theatrical art is in there. But anyway,